how much are we actually going to see of you next season?
I would love to tell you. I'm not going to. I don't like to give away secrets. So. It actually depends. You might see me a lot next year. If you have like a poster of me on your wall, you'll see me daily. But how much I'll be on Supernatural is a secret. I can't tell you. Yeah. And I actually don't know, so that makes it easier to not tell you.
Can you talk about like sort of what side of Castiel we're going to be seeing next season?
Castiel is definitely. I think that Drunk with Power is a fair characterization of how we're kicking off the season. We're right now in the process of shooting episode 1 because Jensen directed what is in air sequence going to be episode 3. So we're shooting the first episode right now, and Castiel is definitely drunk with power. He's trying to do what he thinks a god should be doing on Earth and in heaven, which is fairly righteous and wrathful, rectifying of the world's problems. I mean, I think he's making, in many respects, the world a better place. But there's a fair amount of smiting going on too, so you take the good with the bad.
In your non-actor life, like before you started really doing this, did you ever have a boss that is like your character?
I'm not really very good with bosses. I got a job when I was maybe 22 as a waiter because I thought this is good hours, flexible, whatever. There were 5 days of training at this restaurant, and on day 3 I came in and the manager said, "Hey, Misha, are you growing a beard?" And I said no, and he said, "Well, then you need to come to work with your face shaved." And I said, "Fuck you," I quit. So I don't do too well with bosses or bossy bosses.
Right.
So I don't think I would handle having someone like Castiel, season 7, Supernatural in my life. I don't think I'd like it.
I guess most of us wouldn't like that so much.
Yeah. Well, some people like a little guidance.
How are Sam and Dean handling him as a boss?
They're being kind of a pain in the ass, honestly. Yeah. They need to be whipped into shape a little bit, in my humble opinion. Yeah, it's very difficult to talk about without ruining it for you. But yeah, I sort of start the season off letting sleeping dogs lie with them because they're completely ineffectual and powerless against me. But of course, they end up being a thorn in my side, as they always do.
Do you think there's a way back for Castiel? Because a lot of fans reacted kind of harshly to this whole change in his persona, him getting drunk with power.
Right.
Do you think would you even like to see him kind of go back to the old way he was, or do you kind of want to see his disintegration?
Well, having lived with him for the last 3 years, Cass definitely has a soft spot in my heart, and I think that was the wrong phraseology, but whatever, I'm going to use it anyway. And I definitely have an affinity for the character and an affection for him, and I would like to see him redeemed somehow. So yeah, I hope that happens for Cass. I don't know how much or if that's going to happen, but I hope so. Just because, I kind of like the guy. Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Jim talked about the infrastructure changing a little bit. Can you talk about that?
In what sense?
Well, he was very coy.
So he talked about something without it, but you're
I was hoping that
you're asking what was Jim talking about? Because we didn't understand it at all.
Something about
in relation to Sam and Dean.
How things get done.
Yeah.
How
things get done.
how things get done?
Yeah.
So he was just talking out of his ass.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think that the supernatural, not unexpectedly, the supernatural world is changing radically this season, and I think part of what's going to happen for Sam and Dean is that they are going to be facing the world a little bit less powerful themselves than they have in the past. Sort of the odds, I guess, are really stacked against them in a way that they've never been before. So they're more like Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid or Thelma and Louise than ever before. Yeah.
Last season in The French Mistake, you played a version, I assume, of yourself. Mm-hmm. What was that like? And how did that compare to playing a rather different...
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I called the writers and asked them to make the Misha character as big a douchebag as possible. And they were like, well, no, but we don't want to do that too much. So I had to, within the parameters of the script, make him as big a douchebag as I could. But they didn't really write him as douchey as I wanted them to. But it was fun. What was especially fun about it is I played him as big a douchebag as I possibly could, and then I got a lot of comments from people like, "Oh my God, it's so cool to see you playing yourself." Yes, that's exactly what I was going for. So,
I love that you were live tweeting during it.
Yeah.
And you got a great death scene out of it.
That was a good death scene.
It was very good.
Speaking of death, what is the body count like in those first 3 scripts?
Hi. It's a good question. I definitely in the thousands. I don't think in the millions, but I could be mistaken. Yeah, but pretty high.
Between 1,000 and 1,000,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
It's quite the range there.
Yeah. But it's definitely not at or near 0. Yeah, that I can tell you.
Is that all the smiting you're doing?
Yeah. Yep.
So, what would your preferred method of smiting be if you had to smite someone? What's a good way to do it?
Oh, good question. Are you looking for personal tips, or is this? This is
I'm writing a guidebook.
Off the record. Yeah. I don't know. Blender, juicer.
Blender, juicer.
Yeah.
Those are good smiting.
Yeah.
And the past tense of smiting is to smote. Is that correct?
Smoting.
Smote.
I'm not a grammarian. The past perfective of smite is smoten.
If you're going to smite, you need to know that you have smoten someone in the past, right?
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate this location.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the grammar lesson.
Thank you.